PS4 video. So already we have a big update to the Blu-ray drive exploit, which is actually a release of the Blu-ray drive exploit. If you don't know what this is, I recommend checking my previous video where I did a whole kind of news update primarily talking about this new Blu-ray exploit that was discovered by developer Gezine, who has come up with at least a couple of Blu-ray exploits at this point. So what we can see here is that we have this new release here from the developer BDJ up to 12.50. So it says BDJ for up to PS4 firmwares 12.50. Originally it said that this might be the exploit that was reported by the Flow, which was then patched in 12.52. But since then it's been updated to say that actually no, the Flow just confirmed that this is not his exploit. So just take my early Christmas gift and no, this will not work on the PS5. So this is for PS4 only. So this is a userland exploit that can be triggered from the Blu-ray drive, which can be used to, of course, jailbreak the PS4 up to 12.02 when it is eventually combined with the lapse kernel exploit, which probably won't take too long because it does look like a pretty fully featured Blu-ray exploit in its current state. So this is some pretty exciting news here. Now, what's interesting about this, in my last video I said the new Blu-ray exploit that this developer discovered, it apparently works on all firmwares, so it would actually be better for them not to release that new version and keep that private for future jailbreaks, and instead hopefully we get the Flows exploit, which is likely to be patched in 12.52 already, so that would be the better one to get released, because we could use that one to jailbreak up to 12.02 with the current jailbreaks, and then save the one that works on higher firmwares for future jailbreaks. That would be the best situation. And that seems to be the situation because this version is not the version that works on all firmwares like the new one. This is the one that works up to 12.50. Now, the developer here did state earlier that I covered in the previous video that they thought they knew what the Flows exploit was as well. So they had their own Blu-ray exploit that works on all firmwares, but they also thought they had an idea of what the Flows exploit was actually using. And that's the version that they've released here in this GitHub release that works up to 12.50. And is likely patched in 12.52, but we'll test that. But it turns out they were actually wrong about that being the same exploit that the Flow discovered, because the Flow confirmed that that's not his exploit. So that could mean that there's actually 3 potential Blu-ray exploits. This one that's been released, the one that works on all firmwares that's not been released yet, and of course the Flows one as well. So there could be potentially 3 at this point, who knows? It's getting a little bit crazy. So at the moment, this is just a userland exploit on its own. It's not been chained with the lapse kernel exploit yet to run the jailbreak, although I suspect we will see that fairly soon. So all we've got at the moment is this Hello World notification. That's all the ISO does at the moment, is print a notification on screen to show it's working. So all you do is download the ISO file, write it to a disk by burning it via a program like Image Burn. You just select the option to write image file to disk, drag in the ISO into the software, put in a blank Blu-ray disc, and yes, it does need to be a Blu-ray disc and not a CD or DVD, and then simply burn it to the disc if you have a Blu-ray burner, and that is how you get that on there. And then once you have that written to the disc, you can put it into your PlayStation 4. Now you can also get the remote logging working as it states here. You can change the status.java file in the ISO and then edit the IP address to your computer's IP address. Rather than do that though, I just went ahead and set my computer's IP address to the same IP as the default one, which is 192.168.2.1, just by opening up the network connections here on my computer, right-clicking on my Ethernet adapter, going to Properties, and then of course setting the Internet Protocol version 4 address to the same default address, 192.168.2.1, setting the subnet mask, and then basically doing the same thing on the PS4 in the network settings and setting its IP address to 192.168.2.2, just so that they can communicate with each other and they have the same IPs, and that way I'll be able to get the log without having to modify the ISO. So to give this a test run, I have SOCAT for Windows here. I'll leave this in the description along with the other stuff that I'm using. And we can get the log using this by entering this command ./socat.exe-v for verbose mode, udp-receive, and then :18194, which is the port number for the logging, and then std out. So once that is done, you are good. You can press enter and that will be running. And now if I switch over to my console, we should be ready to load up this userland exploits. So this console is on firmware 12.02, as you can see here. So 12.02 firmware. And what we'll do is we'll run the Blu-ray disc and see if we can get this userland exploit working. And then of course, we'll also test it on a 12.52 system and see if it has actually been patched on 12.52 or not. So let's go ahead and run this. So we'll run the Blu-ray disc. So we get a black screen. And then if I switch over to my desktop, you will be able to see the log. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just go back to the PS4 itself so you can see the notification there, hello world. And if I go back to the computer, this is the log. As you can see, we've got triggering the sandbox escape exploit, disposing window, invoking create xlet, getting class loader. We've got disabling the security manager, then the exploit succeeded, and we got a sandbox escape achieved. And then it grabs the kernel send notification address, so it can actually send that notify message, which it then sends there, the hello world message. And then you can see we've got calling native function, the buffer address, the buffer size, and function returned 0. So yeah, there we go. That is it. And obviously it's not loading anything yet because we don't actually have an exploit for it to load. We don't have a kernel exploit that it's loading right now. That will change fairly soon once we get the lapsed kernel exploit being triggered with this. Okay, so now let's try a 12.52 system. Apparently this should only work up to 12.50, so theoretically it shouldn't work on 12.52, but let's go ahead and give it a try anyway and see what happens. So we'll launch the Blu-ray disc, and I am also running the log here to see if we get any information pop up. So far, nothing. Oh, yep, okay. Well, it didn't work. We never got any notification on the console. And let's see, we've got triggering sandbox escape exploit, disposing window, invoking create xlet, and then there is an error in init xlet, access denied. Look at that, access denied with the Java access control exception. So I guess that might be something to do with what Zeko discovered, where he compared the Java security file and saw that there were additional packages that were protected in 12.52 that were not protected in previous firmwares. And it looks like that's why this doesn't work on 12.52, because as you can see, we get access denied with the Java security access control exception. So yeah, there you go. Doesn't work on 12.52. But apparently the developer Gezine has another Blu-ray exploit that works on all firmwares that is not yet released. And then that's the one that we might be able to use on future jailbreaks if a new jailbreak comes out for 12.52. So yeah, very exciting that we now have a new Blu-ray drive exploit that can be used to load the existing jailbreaks without requiring a Lua game, without those Japanese games that are unfortunately cost quite a lot of money or are out of stock and hard to get a hold of. It's going to be much easier to get Blu-ray discs, even if you don't have a Blu-ray burner or it's too expensive for you to get a Blu-ray burner. There'll be other people reselling discs that are already prepared, and you could just get one of those instead. And yeah, we'll probably end up seeing something very similar to the Lua games with the Auto Lua loader, but for the Blu-ray drive instead, where you just launch the Blu-ray disc and it runs everything for you, the full chain exploit with the lapsed kernel exploit, and then closes the disc player automatically, and you're back on the home page with Gold Hen running. That would be the ideal situation. So hopefully we'll see that fairly soon. So anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And once again, as always, I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.